Salve, salve, galerinha, tudo bem, galerinha? Estamos aqui hoje para acompanhar o lançamento do foguete Falcon 9, levando 21 satélites Starlink, gente. Lançamento previsto já começando, lançamento previsto para as 16h18, 16 e 15, não sei, porque eu esqueci de ver aqui. Esqueci de ver. 51 minutos para o lançamento do foguete Falcon 9. Vamos já com as imagens na tela. Deixa eu já divulgar a live. Estou em live. (51 minutos e 20 segundos para o lançamento do foguete Falcon 9, levando 21 satélites Starlink, foguete da SpaceX. Depois à tarde, depois desse lançamento, vai ter o outro lançamento que vai ser da Rocket Lab. Lançamento da Rocket Lab. Que vai ser às 17h43, gente. Amanhã, outro lançamento do foguete Falcon 9, às 21h03 da noite. 21h03. Deixa eu já colocar aqui no Insta. Deixa eu já colocar aqui. Isso, gente. Já coloquei aqui no Insta. Lançamento previsto. Lançamento para que horas mesmo que eu esqueci. Gente. 16 e 18. 16 e 18. Deixa eu já colocar aqui. Deixa eu já tirar uma foto aqui de Falcon 9. Deixa eu colocar aqui, gente. Deixa eu postar nos stories. Levando 21 satélites Starlink, o Falcon 9. Não, pior é se tem aqui um negócio. 16 e 18. Tem 18 aqui? Não. É que não tem aqui não. Deixa eu já colocar aqui, gente, aqui no Insta, no post. Já estamos em live para o lançamento do Falcon 9, levando 21 satélites Starlink. Live. Olá, aqui Nasatec, nosso parceiro Nasatec, Space Today, SpaceX, cadê? SpaceX, Space Orbit.
Tá te chamando?
Pronto.
Não, pra arrumar coisa da...
Pega a gente.
Made its way out to Tower 1, where it's been loaded on the orbital launch mount in preparation for upcoming fuel loading and preparation for eventually a static fire test. These live pictures coming to us from our friends at Lab Padre. If you're not already subscribed to the Lab Padre channel here on YouTube, you really should. They have great multiple 24-hour live cams positioned all around Starbase to keep you posted and up to date on the comings and goings that are happening down there. Lots of activity all the time, of course. This booster testing is just the very latest big public-facing activity that is on tap today. Time now, T-minus 42 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. Taking a look at the live chat, I want to thank a few folks for their support today. Thanks to NAL Fanatic for joining us with channel membership at the Mission Specialist level. Welcome aboard. Also, welcome into Dave Oatway joining us at the Pad Leader level. I want to thank one of our moderators, Mark Otto, for joining us, helping out in the live chat as well as gifting 10 Spaceflight Now memberships. So thanks to Mark for both of those things. Thanks as well to channel member and moderator Clisty Lee for also gifting 10 Spaceflight Now memberships, and to fellow channel member Ryan Snyder for gifting 5. So to our 25 newest channel members, welcome aboard to all of you. Thanks for joining us. Happy to have you here. And if you haven't already, be sure to thank Ryan, Clistia, and Mark in the live chat. And we hope you decide to stick around with channel membership. Speaking of sticking around, CL Sports Picks has been with us now for 15 months at the mission specialist level. Really appreciate that, CL. Thanks for your continued support. And a thanks to Axel Penn for a 10-pound super chat. Giving a shout out from Banana Creek, visiting from London. Lots of good launch viewing spots along Banana Creek in the Indian River Lagoon as well. Also should be pretty good beach viewing for those along the coastline. Places like Cape Canaveral, Cocoa Beach, Melbourne Beach, Indian Harbor Beach, Satellite Beach. As this Falcon 9 is going to be heading in a southeasterly trajectory. With a tip of the cap to where this Falcon's going to fly, let's go ahead and just talk about the trajectory, shall we? Now T-minus 40 minutes, 26 seconds and counting. Falcon 9 rocket, once it lifts off from Space Launch Complex 40, or Slick 40, there at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. As I just mentioned, we'll be flying in a southeasterly trajectory, heading away from Florida's Space Coast, following that green arc you see there on your screen. Following stage separation, the first stage booster that's supporting this mission, which today is B-1078, making its 17th flight, will follow that red arc and target landing on one of SpaceX's 3 drone ships. It's got 2 here on the East Coast, and the one on tap today is a shortfall gravitas. If successful, this will be the 97th booster landing for this particular drone ship and the 406th booster landing for SpaceX to date. SpaceX is working to certify its first stage boosters for up to 40 flights apiece. It's also doing the same with its payload fairings, which will splash down in the waters of the Atlantic Ocean under the support of steerable parachutes, a little bit further downrange from where the first stage booster lands on the drone ship. SpaceX said in a presentation at the end of 2023 that it saves about $6 million per recovery effort. So it's an important part of their business model to retrieve, refurbish, and reuse these payload fairings as often as possible. They'll be brought back aboard one of their recovery vessels before being taken back through Port Canaveral and then over to the Hangar X site, where they will be examined and refurbished and again turn around for future missions. Falcon 9 recovery, or excuse me, the fairing recovery vessel that's being used today is nicknamed Doug, after former NASA astronaut Doug Hurley, one half of the duo who flew the Demo 2 mission back in May of 2020. Now T-minus 38 minutes and counting. At this point, nominally speaking, SpaceX will have concluded their poll on the start of prop load, if they are in a good position to move forward with that. Fueling will begin in just a few minutes now at the T-minus 35-minute mark. T minus 34 minutes, 14 seconds and counting. At this point, SpaceX should now be fueling their Falcon 9 rocket, which once again involves flowing RP-1, a rocket-grade kerosene on board the Falcon 9's first and second stages as the fuel, and liquid oxygen is the oxidizer on board the Falcon 9's first stage. Time now T minus 32 minutes, 26 seconds and counting. As we're working to determine if fueling has in fact begun, as we suspect it likely has, I want to take a brief pivot, talk a little bit about the weather. No, not just making small talk. The 45th Weather Squadron actually forecast a pretty ideal outlook for today's launch opportunity. Greater than 95% chance of favorable weather at liftoff, with just the cumulus cloud rule as a potential spoiler. Fairly light clouds, trending between 7 and 12 miles per hour.
Voltamos, gente. Tô ouvindo aqui já o Special Day aqui. Tô vendo aqui, gente. Fica aí 1 minuto e aí paga o lançamento do foguete Falcon 9, gente. Oi.
Eu cago da batidinha, tio.
Pega aí, gente.
In fact, fueling that does lock them into T0 with a liftoff at 2:18 p.m. Eastern, 1918 UTC for our friends around the world. time now, T-minus 28 minutes, 25 seconds and counting. In addition to fueling beginning on the Falcon 9 rocket at this point, SpaceX is also loading that cryogenic helium into the pressure vessels on the Falcon 9's first stage. The helium, of course, being important in order to pressurize the main propellant tanks during flight. Same will be true on the second stage here in just a few minutes. Conditions out here at pad 40 considerably better than they were earlier this morning. I'll take a look at some video that was captured by our photographer Adam Bernstein. Let's see. There we go. You can see how densely foggy it was around the 9 o'clock or so hour this morning. Pretty hard to make out the Falcon 9 rocket. Again, the video in the big box is from earlier this morning. What you're seeing on the right-hand side of your screen, fortunately, are the live pictures that we've got right now, so considerably better conditions for a launch here in a little less than 27 minutes. As we're preparing to see the launch of this Falcon 9 rocket again, first stage booster supporting this mission, B-1078, will be flying for 17th time today. Before that happens, though, let's go ahead and step back through time and talk about where it's been before we see where it's about to go. As is the case with a number of Falcon 9 boosters, this one happened to start its launch history sending up astronauts and a cosmonaut up to the International Space Station. This one was the Crew 6 flight, which lifted off almost 2 years ago at this point now, back on March 2nd of 2023, sending up the crew on board the Dragon spacecraft called Endeavour. That was followed up by the second pair of O3B M-Power satellites, lifting off on April 28th of 2023. A quartet of Starlinks followed that. We had Starlink 6-4 on June 4th, 6-8 on August 7th, 6-16 on September 16th, and 6-31 on December 3rd. That was followed up by a mission for the U.S. Space Force, USSF 124, lifting off on Valentine's Day of last year. Back to Starlink land we go for 5 more flights. We had Starlink 6-46 on March 25th, 6-53 on April 23rd, 6-60 on May 28th, 10-2 on June 23rd, 10-6 on August 2nd. That was followed up by a launch for AST Space Mobile. 5 Bluebird satellites lifting off on September 12th of last year. After that, it's back to Starlink land we go. Starlink 10-3 on October 30th, 6-76 on November 27th, and most recently, Starlink 12-6 at the very tail end of last year. T-minus 23 minutes, 23 seconds and counting. Taking a closer look at the Falcon 9 rocket, you can really see the fueling that we were talking about earlier with that liquid oxygen now flowing on board the Falcon 9's first stage, the frost line continuing to rise. Of course, considerably colder liquid oxygen than the warmer Florida atmosphere and the air around it, just giving us that vapor that you're seeing there wrapping around the skin of the rocket. Coming up here in the next couple of minutes, SpaceX will begin to chill the feed lines prior to second stage liquid oxygen loading. See that manifest as the so-called big vent. That visually will begin at about T-minus 20 minutes and 20 seconds.
Voltamos, gente. 22 minutos, gente. Deixa eu ver aqui, gente. Tem alguma mensagem no chat? Ainda não temos mensagem no chat. Minutos e 35 segundos, gente, para o lançamento do foguete Falcon 9. Lançamento previsto para 16 e 18. Depois vamos ter às 17h43 da Rocket Lab. Vamos ver se dá tempo. E gente, já está com duas contagens aqui, bem interessante, porque já tem duas contagens aqui. Cadê, gente? Deixa eu ver se eu consigo pegar. Já está com duas contagens aqui no Space Flight, no Next Space Flight. Ok, deixa eu mostrar aqui, gente. Aqui, gente. Aqui já. Aqui do Falcon 9, não pega. Aqui o do Falcon 9, que falta 19 minutos e 51 segundos. E aqui da Rocket Lab, da missão Lot 4, Go and Me, que falta 1h e 44 minutos. Coincidência. Agora. E aqui e amanhã temos o Falcon 9. Falcon 9 às
T-minus 16 minutes, 26 seconds and counting. With the big vent tapering off, SpaceX is preparing to pivot to loading liquid oxygen on board the Falcon 9's second stage, coming up here in just a little more than 10 seconds.
A live tinha caído, gente. Deve ter caído, gente, por causa do de alto nível que tava aqui, gente, o negócio. Por causa do CPF, gente. CPF não CPU. Eu vou mostrar mais aqui, senão pode ser que a live caia. A live caiu, mas voltou aqui, ainda bem. Muito obrigado, OBS Studio. É 3 minutos e 30 segundos. Lançamento previsto para 16 e 18. Doze minutos e 11 segundos para o lançamento do foguete Falcon 9, gente. Olha o satélite, esse é o satélite Starlink, se não me engano. É que eu não sei o visual do Starlink, do satélite Starlink, não da antena da Starlink. Porque eles também têm uma antena, se não me engano, que eles vendem. Tem fotos. Estou em live. aqui, ó, os cachorros. Os cachorros, gente. Já é 10 minutos e 15 segundos, gente, para o lançamento do foguete Falcon 9. Eu ia falar, gente, Falcon 9. Daqui a pouco o lançamento. 9 minutos e 48 segundos para o lançamento do foguete Falcon 9, gente. Daqui a pouco, gente, Falcon 9, gente. Esse é o meu celular carregando aqui, gente, vai gastar pouco centro de bateria, gente. Pouquíssimo por cento de bateria. Tinha dado o som, porque eu coloquei aqui uma coisa aqui no celular. Mas, gente, eu não sei se vocês viram, gente, mas agora, gente, temos loja do canal, gente, que tá na descrição. Mas se vocês fizerem no chat exclamação loja, que o bot vai mandar o link da nossa loja do canal. Também, fora isso, também temos novas opções de fazer doações ou contribuições. Primeiro se inscrever no canal, que é claro. Segundo, ativando o sininho, que é claro também. Terceiro, deixar o like. Quarto, compartilhando, que é compartilhar o canal, live ou vídeo. Quinto, doação pelos Streamlabs. Sexto, doação pelos Stream Elements. Sétimo, doação pelo Lightpix. Oitava, Lux, doação pelo Lux. E a gente também fizemos, gente, parceria nessa semana com as Streamlabs, Streamlabs, e também Radial Aero Camisetas, que lá na loja do Radial Aero Camisetas, só usando o cupom de 5% de desconto, usando o cupom BYT05, que é 5% de desconto. Também fiz uma pequena mudança, gente, na descrição, na parte de aviso legal, que é um negócio que você não pode pegar o vídeo sem autorização, né? E aqui eu coloquei aqui direitos autorais de Bravo entrando. De Bravo entrando. Depois teremos live do lançamento do foguete Rocket Lab. Da Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab. Também tenho que colocar depois o link da transmissão da SpaceX para eu colocar. Agora vou colocar, gente. Agora eu vou fazer o corte da live. Para colocar nos shorts aqui no YouTube, gente. Aqui no canal Bravo Entrando. 4 minutos e tá em tempo real aqui. Vai, parece aí, pof. Em tempo real. 4 minutos e 46 segundos para o lançamento do foguete Falcon 9, gente. Levando 21 satélites Starlink. Hoje também pegando da Rocket Lab. Também, gente. Rocket Lab. Também, gente, vocês viram no shorts. Olha lá, já começou a transmissão, mas tá com. Mas olha a qualidade que está aí. A transmissão do Twitter. O Twitter da lá da SpaceX. A qualidade tá assim. Tá 700. Tá em HD, olha lá, gente. Resolução em HD. Mentira. É porque é Space Flight No que é a transmissão da Space Flight No. Aí eles esqueceram de colocar 720p. 3 minutos e 46 segundos para o lançamento do foguete Falcon 9. Daqui a pouco, lançamento do Falcon 9, Falcon 9 em inglês, 9, levando 21 satélites Starlink. Ó o lago que tem perto da SpaceX. Lago que tem perto da SpaceX. É lago, gente. Não é lago? Se não for lago, aí ele deve ser como, então? Lagoa? Ou é o mar? Ou rio? Como que eu vou saber, gente? Como que eu vou saber? Aí não tá aparecendo nada aí na câmera, não. Space Flight No. Não tá aparecendo nada na câmera, não. Space Flight No. Dois minutos e 13 segundos e te pega aí, gente.
Good call from SpaceX. At this point, the Falcon 9 is now fully loaded with 1 million pounds of propellant. Seeing the ground gas closeouts here at the bottom of your screen, SpaceX is purging the remaining liquid oxygen from the feed lines. Now less than a minute and a half to go before launch.
Gas launch closeouts has started.
Good call from SpaceX. We're now approaching a minute before liftoff. The Falcon 9 will enter its startup sequence. Should hear that call out from SpaceX in about 15 seconds.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
40 seconds to go. Our next and final big call will be the SpaceX launch director giving their go for launch here momentarily.
So launch director on countdown 1, go for launch.
With that call, SpaceX is now less than 30 seconds away from the liftoff of its Falcon 9 rocket here on a sunny Saturday afternoon. 15 seconds. And here we go in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engine ignition and liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket on the Starlink 12-9 mission. Falcon 9 has cleared the tower. Traveling faster than the speed of sound and passing through max Q, the point of greatest aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. Coming up, we'll be hearing the call for MVAC engine chill. SpaceX is conditioning the Merlin vacuum engine for the start of its burn. Now a little more than 2 minutes into flight. Coming up on a few different events in fairly rapid succession here. First stage main engine cutoff momentarily. MECO. We have stage separation. And MVAC ignition.
Main engine cutoff. Stage separation confirmed. MVAC ignition.
All good callouts from SpaceX. We should be seeing the payload fairings deploy in just a few seconds. Here go the payload fairings. Again, these will splash down to the waters of the Atlantic Ocean with the support of steerable parachutes.
Fairing separation confirmed.
Good call out from SpaceX. Now a little more than 3.5 minutes into this mission so far. Coming up next will be the start of the first stage entry burn. As 3 of the engines on the Falcon 9 first stage booster will come back to life to begin to slow the vehicle down. Some really nice views from the Falcon 9's onboard cameras today, and excellent work by our tracking team as well, with some wonderfully clear skies. A little more than 4 minutes into flight. First stage booster B-1078 will be attempting to make its 17th landing today, targeting a touchdown on the drone ship called a shortfall of gravitas. First stage booster appears to have reached its apogee at about 114 kilometers altitude. Now starting to make its descent.
Both vehicles are on a nominal trajectory.
And a good confirmation of a nominal flight so far by SpaceX. Now 5 minutes into this mission. The dot that you see there in the middle of the big box, that is our view still of the upper stage of this Falcon 9 rocket today, as it continues to cruise away from Florida's Space Coast. Now at a speed of about 12,000 kilometers per hour, now at 150 kilometers in height, or in altitude. Now 6 minutes into the mission. First stage entry burn will be happening now in real time.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
Given the lighting conditions, it's a little bit tricky to see the entry burn, even though we're not being obstructed as much by clouds today. Much easier to catch at night. It's burn lasting a little less than 30 seconds in total.
Stage 1 entry burn shut down.
With the conclusion of the entry burn, we're now looking towards the start of the landing burn at about T plus 7 minutes and 48 seconds, so roughly a minute away from now. Still appears to be a good burn on the Merlin vacuum engine on the right-hand side of your screen, supporting the second stage. SpaceX is targeting a booster landing for its Falcon 9 rocket in the southern hemisphere down in New Zealand. Rocket Lab is also beginning to load liquid oxygen on board its
Stage
Electron.
1 transonic.
That's Electron rocket. For those tracking the first Electron mission of the year, whether 90% go for that flight.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
Good call from SpaceX. The flight termination system on the Falcon 9 upper stage has been safed. No longer needed at this stage in flight.
Stage 1 landing burn. Stage 2 is in terminal guidance. Stage 1 landing leg deploy. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And a good 17th landing for B-1078.
MVAC shut down.
With a good call for the shutdown of the Merlin vacuum engine, presumably it will have entered into a nominal parking orbit, where once again it will coast until T plus 53 minutes, 58 seconds. There will be a brief 2-second burn of that Merlin vacuum engine, setting up for the Starlink satellites to be deployed at about T plus 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 7 seconds. As a heads up for those launch fans still around with us at this point in time, I want to remind you that SpaceX is targeting one more launch this weekend. On deck from the West Coast is the Starlink 11-10 mission, a batch of 23 Starlink satellites getting ready to launch in a Falcon 9 rocket from Vandenberg Space Force Base. For those who want a little side-by-side with the big game, you can put our channel up, have that maybe as a picture-in-picture for you, as liftoff is currently targeted for 4:03 p.m. Pacific. That's 7:03 p.m. Eastern, or 0003 UTC for our friends around the world. Put another way, it's about 30-ish minutes post the kickoff of the big games. So again, we'll be here ready to support live launch coverage of that mission. For those of you who are not down in New Orleans watching that game happen, or watching it on TV, wherever you are around the world, I'd love to see you stop by for a little bit to check out the flight of the Falcon 9 rocket and our coverage thereof. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Spaceflight Now. Turn on notifications, click that bell icon. That way you'll be notified when we begin our live launch coverage. Turning to the mission stats that currently stand with this Falcon 9 mission here back on the East Coast, with a good liftoff and landing of the booster B-1078. That wraps up its 17th flight in its history so far. This was SpaceX's 434th Falcon 9 launch to date. No Falcon Heavies on the calendar yet. 17th Falcon 9 launch of 2025. This marked the 378th Falcon booster reflight, or the launch of a booster that has flown at least once. 17th orbital mission for SpaceX on the year so far. This was the 140th orbital launch within the last 365 days. This was the 231st SpaceX orbital launch from Pad 40 there at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, and the 285th overall orbital launch from that pad as well. Here are the Falcon family of rocket flights so far since 2010 when they began flying. Moving on to some recovery stats, this was the 97th booster landing successfully on the drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas. That marked SpaceX's 324th drone ship landing and the 406th overall booster landing to date. Finally, with some industry stats, this was the 13th orbital launch from the Sunshine State, the 18th orbital launch from U.S. soil, 18th from U.S. Rocket Company, and the 27th around the world. Speaking of around the world, once again, Rocket Lab beginning to fuel its Electron rocket for its first launch of the year from down in New Zealand. You can head over to our website, spaceflightnow.com. Got the YouTube link up there to check that mission out. Live coverage from Rocket Lab starts about 20 minutes before liftoff. So far, no orbital launch failures on the year so far. Here's where the pie chart now stands. U.S. with 18, China with 6, India and Japan with 1 launch apiece. Just a slight correction to that. Actually, should be 1 launch from Russia as well in this pie chart. make that correction for the next go around coming up tomorrow. And with 14 minutes post liftoff, that'll go ahead and wrap up our live coverage here today on this sunny Saturday. We're going to go ahead and power things down here on the Space Coast, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day as well. Thanks briefly, though, to some folks in the live chat. Thanks to channel member Goku for being with us as a channel member for 3 months. Who says...
Parece que já foi, gente, o lançamento do foguete Falcon 9. Então, logo para os próximos lançamentos, gente, os lançamentos. Vamos com os próximos lançamentos. O do Falcon 9 de hoje. O lançamento do Falcon 9 de hoje já foi lançado. Hoje do dia 17, hoje do dia 8, 17h43, vai ter o do Electron. Vai ter também hoje às 21, não, amanhã às 21h03 do Falcon 9 também. Da China também vai ter, sei porque 11 e 14 também vai ter o Falcon 9 também. Então essa foi a live de hoje, espero que você tenha gostado. Tchau, tchau.